We are moving on to our next topic, which is we may have been a little bit wrong about some things over here on the Franchise Tag podcast, but we also were maybe dramatically right about something as well. And we're going to turn our attention to the Colts dominating win, the Indianapolis Colts dominating win 33-8 against the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins only scoring 8 points in the fourth quarter. They were 25 points up going into the fourth quarter. Were we very wrong about Daniel Jones and this Indianapolis Colts team? I mean, 222 for 29 for Daniel Jones, 272 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 sack. He also had 7 attempts for 26 yards and 2 touchdowns, win rushing as well. They played very well, the Colts. And I will be the first to admit I said this team was going to be pants. But there's signs of life here for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, they were better than what we thought, but I have some serious reservations on them given who they played. I think there was very little put up against them. That's the one thing I would say. And it was over before it kind of begun, to be honest. I think at halftime we all knew this was it. It was done. And the Dolphins weren't going to come back from this. There was no offense at all from them. So I feel like the Colts did well. They beat what was in front of them, and they did it to a decent standard. I thought Daniel Jones picked the Dolphins offense apart very, very easily. And obviously he went and got himself 2 rushing touchdowns as well. And I think it's a funny one with Daniel Jones because you saw him when he played for the Giants that I just kind of felt like he had moments at the Giants where he did this. And then it all fell apart and not a lot happened afterwards. So I think that the Colts, the one thing I would say, the positive I would go with for the Colts is I thought their defense played very well. And they were running around like crazy and they were really trying. It's like they were trying to make an impression and show that they're better than what a lot of people had said. So from the defensive point of view, I thought they did very well. And they caused a lot of the problems for the Dolphins in that game. So I think defensively was great. The offense, I just felt, I mean, the Miami defense was awful and was just all over the place. And it didn't feel like it was that difficult for the Colts to be able to do what they did. And, you know, when you've got a team that you're going up against who doesn't score until the fourth quarter, it takes all the pressure off. So it felt, everything went right for them. That's the one thing I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I build this as us being incredibly wrong. I do still believe in what we were saying. I still don't think this team is going to be particularly good, but I think, what the people say now, you got to give them their flowers. Like, you've still got to win games in the NFL. And Miami could have come out there and been really good on defense, or maybe they were being really good on defense and Daniel Jones was playing an absolute blinder. I don't believe that narrative, but that narrative may be out there for some people. But Daniel Jones, when he joined the Colts, we didn't know whether he'd be starting over Anthony Richardson. We probably thought it's more than likely he's going to be making an appearance at some point for the Colts. Then he was announced as a starter, and everyone's immediately gone, this is only going to go badly. Look at what he did at the Giants. But as some people noted, that Daniel Jones did win. They got to the playoffs. He did win some games in New York, and he never had that much help. And actually, when you look at the talent that he has, in Jonathan Taylor, in Tyler Warren, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Adonai Mitchell had a good game, and he was nowhere last season. Mo Ali Cox, Josh Downs, like these are some decent players that really shone on the day. And they've added to what the Colts could potentially be. And we had our reservations about their defense, but we said that the names on paper were good. We've always said the names on paper were good. They've just not been able to get it over the line. And quarterback has been the issue for the Colts. Daniel Jones may not be the answer, but boy, did he made a statement of going, I could well be, and I could be your guy. I think you've got to give it to him, but he came out there and got them 2 rushing touchdowns. He played physical. He picked them apart. We've just said in our other segment about Aaron Rodgers picking defenses apart because that's what he has to do now because he can't run. Daniel Jones has that element where he can run, but he systematically was picking the Dolphins apart with some absolutely incredible grabs by Alec Pierce and Josh Downs notably. And he's got that great run game to lean on with Jonathan Taylor, who fingers crossed can stay healthy because he's had an up and down career with his health. But when I think back to last season when I was in Munich and that such a bad game between the Indianapolis Colts and the New England Patriots. And then I look at this game and I think, wow, this is progress. This is the progress the Colts wanted to see, surely.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, they want to be competitive, don't they? That's what it's all about for them. So it's like they want to show that they can do something. And I think that this shows that they can be competitive. It's like they can put up points. They have a way of doing it. They've got like we've always said, they've got decent players on that team. They're not a bad team. They're just not. I don't know. They just struggle to find a quarterback all the time. And although Daniel Jones can do little bits here and there, it feels a little bit like this is like having Philip Rivers. This is like having Matt Ryan. It's that sort of thing where it's like it's just not someone who's at the end of their career, but it's someone of the kind of that talent level, and it just makes you feel a little bit like there's only so much that you're going to get from Daniel Jones, and that's where the problem comes in. But yes, it means that they, as I said, he can, if you give him time. That I know I go on about the Dolphins and all that. They had no pass rush. If you give him time to pick you apart, then I think he can do that. I think a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL can do that. If you literally just leave them there.
Yeah.
And just go, okay, I'll just throw it when I want. Eventually, the person's going to become available. That's how it works. And I think that's the problem. So yeah, I would say great O-line play from the Colts to be able to give him as much time as what he had, and that Daniel Jones, he did everything that he could do to prove that he is going to be a decent starter in the NFL for them. However, I will caveat it with the fact that the Dolphins were appalling.
Well, his completion percentage on the day was third, 75.9.
Yeah.
And that's below Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, and then in front of Brock Purdy, Lamar, Justin Herbert. Like, that's pretty darn good. I mean, he only got 1 touchdown. I mean, what about first downs? He was top 10 in first downs. Yards per attempt. He was 4th with 9.4, only behind Justin Fields with 9.9, Geno Smith with 10.6, and Lamar with 11, QBR of 115.9. That was 4th. I mean, in fact, no, that's a complete lie. It was 115.9. That was 6th. Sorry, it wasn't 4th, but still very, very good. That was behind Lamar, Aaron, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, Justin Fields for the weekend. So, yeah, I think you can come out of this feeling really positive, considering how negative we were about it all after.
I think
last
you
week's show and in the preseason as well.
I think personally, it just the problem is it was against the Dolphins and how bad they were. That's the issue. So it kind of makes you feel a little bit like not sure. It'll be interesting to see what he does next week. He's going up against next week. They're playing the Broncos next week at home.
Ooh, so that's a litmus test, isn't it? Actually,
yeah, exactly. And I think that will you're almost going from quite possibly one of the worst defensive performances you've seen to arguably the best defense in the whole of the league. And, so it'll be interesting to see how he does, but he's got to play the Broncos. Away to the Titans feels like, it's one that he might be able to get a relatively good result out, but then he's got to play the Rams. So then first 4 weeks, so you're going up against the Broncos and the Rams defense. I think you'll learn a lot in these first 4 weeks when it comes to what Daniel Jones can do and what the Colts will be able to do. But it's a good start, and it's definitely going to give them a bit of confidence, and probably a bit of confidence in the building as well, that shows that we can do it. We are a solid team. We are capable. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. But the Dolphins were pretty bad.
I was about to say, as Colin Cowherd's show goes, when Colin was right, when Colin was wrong. Well, we were wrong about the Colts, maybe, but when Colin was right, we said they would be trash. They were so bad. So bad. I mean, how did we not put in our predictions that Tyreek Hill be traded by the deadline? Like, why did we go so eccentric on our stuff when it was right there, in the palm of our hands? It was right there that Tyreek's not. I mean, that looks like the writing on the wall. I mean, Jalen Waddle injury as well, becoming way too common. After that, what you got? Tanner Connor, Dwayne Eskridge, Nick Westbrook-Akina, and Alec Ingold's the fullback. But I mean, you have got nothing if you've not got them. And 2 on the day, 14 for 23, 114 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks. They ran the ball for, what was that in the end? 50, 64, 68 yards. No rushing touchdown. Well, no touchdowns at all, let alone blooming rushing touchdowns. I don't know why I'm saying that, but this team's in trouble, real trouble.
Yeah, it looks like it's I think the worrying thing, in a way, the result is not the worrying thing. It was more the performance, and just the fact that they didn't look like they were prepared. Like they just didn't look like they were ready to go at all, and that was really, really strange on both sides of the ball. It wasn't like there was no sort of there was no shining light at all. It was just poor from both sides. Tua just struggled. I would say that the Colts defense did put quite a lot of their pass rush was decent and did put a lot of pressure on them, but the O-line really, really struggled. Just couldn't stop it at all. So Tua was getting hit very, very early, and I mean, when it comes to the rest of the offense, there just wasn't much going on it. It's like the run game never really got going. They never got past the D line that much. I thought Achane had an okay game, and obviously he was the one who came up with the touchdown in the receiving game in the fourth quarter. But yeah, they just didn't look like they were. They didn't look like they were ready. They looked like it was preseason still, and
That's
just
been the
not.
reports, hasn't it? That's been the reports. They've been reports saying that the practice was terrible and that they seemed completely not at the races.
Yeah.
That seemed very dysfunctional. I mean, that was on the combined practices, weren't there? There was reports coming out going they looked miles off it, and they look miles off it again. And you know they're going to the Patriots next week, I believe. I think they're going. I'm reading this the right way. No, sorry, they're hosting the Patriots. Apologies.
Oh, they're playing them. I know that.
But I mean, that's the Patriots. We don't know exactly what they are just yet, but it's not going to be an easy schedule. It's not going to be easy for them at all. They need to figure it out pretty quick, because they'll end up with no coach. They'll have their best players gone, and they'll end up with number 1 draft pick. And arguably, you could argue they don't need a quarterback. So then where do they go with it? I would argue they probably could look at quarterback myself and move off of Tua. But this is it's just such a tire fire. Such tire.
Yeah.
The Colts, I think with the Colts, I could see a dip. I could definitely see a dip. There's going to be bad days for them. And I do think they're not going to be great this year, but I think there'll be games where they will look fantastic. And it will be very much a roller coaster ride, maybe, for this Indianapolis Colts team. This Dolphins team, I don't see the bright light. I don't see where the positives come from here.
I think this Patriots game coming up next week, it's weird to say that the second week 2 is a must-win game is pretty ridiculous, but it does kind of become a bit of a must-win game. They've got to play.
It's a silence the haters game.
Yeah, it is. It is a little
It's a
bit.
silence the noise game. And if you
Yeah,
don't silence the noise, that noise will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
they've got to play the whole of the AFC North at some point, where you look at it and you go, well, based on what I saw from the Steelers, I don't see them winning that, and I definitely don't see them beating the Ravens and the Bengals. The Browns actually looked semi-competent at times, and you just sort of think, well, this is going to be very difficult then to get wins from these games. They've got to play the Bills twice. It's difficult, and you just sort of think, okay, so something like the Patriots, who are a team that've got a lot of new starters and they're trying to embed their starters, this is an opportunity. You need to get this win for this game, but it's very difficult to see it, because you just sort of think, for a team to do what they did and sort of just fold so quickly, with a head coach who's literally just starting his 4th season with them, it screams of like they just don't believe the message, is essentially what it is, and they're not buying it. And then you've got all these problems with Tyreek, and you kind of feel like you got rid of a lot of the so-called guys, bad apples that make a lot of noise, in Jalen Ramsey and Javon Holland. They said that about him, but you've still got Tyreek there, and it's really difficult to see whether or not this is going to work. And I just don't think it will. I think it's just a downward spiral, to be honest.